In this video, I'll reveal my step-by-step process for planning my solo trips overseas to capture images like this, and this. What is happening, people? My name is Gorav and I'm a travel and a wedding photographer based in Birmingham, England. When I quickly got bored of photographing everything around me, I realized I was in a very fortunate position of traveling to most places around the world. So what was stopping me? Nothing actually. I just hadn't bothered looking into it. I always said to myself, I would love to travel to Japan one day. I would love to travel to Vietnam one day. But in fact, I didn't actually bother looking into it myself. Oh, there was one thing actually. I wasn't really used to traveling by myself, and I'd never traveled overseas by myself. But you're never actually by yourself, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute. So I just looked up a ticket to Tokyo, Japan, because I realized if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. And I ended up booking it, but it wasn't as easy as that. And over the years, I've learned a few tips and tricks which I'm gonna share with you in this video, and that's what this video is about. It's a guide for other people that are looking to do the same thing but don't know where to start. So let's just get right into it. If you're planning a photography solo trip overseas, then the first place you want to start is Instagram. And the reason why you want to start with Instagram is because, for example, if I'm looking to travel to England and photograph the Big Ben, I want to know what it looks like at this point in time, because you don't want to get to the Big Ben and there's scaffolding around it like there is at the moment. That would be quite disappointing. Look on Instagram, check out the dates, see when these photos were uploaded, especially if there's a specific thing that you're looking to photograph. Then have a look at the dates to see when these photos were taken or uploaded, and just have a look at a bunch of images just to make sure that you're not seeing images that were uploaded from a while ago. So that's just one of the examples. But of course, if you want to visit India and photograph the Taj Mahal, then you want to do the same thing. Have a look at the pictures on Instagram and see what people are uploading at this point in time. I try not to travel for more than 2 weeks anywhere I go around the world, because I generally lose interest and the culture shock goes away. So you might want to limit your time. Yours might be different, so you might want to travel for a month or 2 months at a time, but that would involve more extensive research. Start with a few YouTube videos. There's plenty of material out there. See what people are talking about. So for example, if I'm going to travel to Hanoi, Vietnam, I want to see what the most popular destinations and things to do are in and around Hanoi, and make a list of them things. Before you start searching for flights, the other thing you want to do is download the DuckDuckGo browser on your phone or your computer, and it shares very little information with these websites. So let's just say we're going to plan a trip to Bali, and my step one would be to actually go to Google Flights, because the user interface is pretty intuitive and it's easy to use. I can actually see the dates with the prices on them, so I can easily pick and choose the cheapest dates or the ones that are most convenient for me. Once I'm happy with my dates that I put in Google Flights, I get that same information and I put it in Skyscanner to see the price difference. And a lot of the times you'll be surprised, it is actually cheaper on Skyscanner. One of the things you want to make sure is if you've got a connecting flight anywhere, you don't want this under 1 hour. You want to leave enough time to make sure you can make your second flight. As a general rule of thumb, I always give it around 2 hours to make sure I can make my connecting flight. Now that you know where you want to go and you're happy with the price, what I generally do is I go on the app booking.com. You can go on the website booking.com, and I search for the best hostels around the area that I'm visiting. Now I know what you're thinking, hostels? No way, never. But bear with me a moment. Hostels aren't grimy places in other countries, especially when you get like-minded people traveling on their own. I want to go into this a little bit more actually. Every time I explain to somebody that I stay in hostels, they always give me that one look like, oh, that must be grimy. No, it isn't actually. In a lot of the other countries, these hostels aren't as bad. And with a lot of the hostels, you have an option to have your own room. You don't actually have to share bunk beds. So why would I want to stay in a hostel when I can just get a hotel? It's because you get to meet like-minded people that have already traveled the country, sometimes on many occasions, and you can get some great tips off them. For example, I stayed in a hostel in Hanoi, Vietnam, and I was traveling from north to south, and in Hanoi I met other people that were traveling from south to north, and I got some really helpful tips off them because I was advised not to visit certain locations at that time of the year. It was actually at an hostel where I met a fellow traveler who told me about an abandoned theme park in a city called Hue. As she was traveling from south to north of Vietnam, I was traveling from north to south. She highly recommended I visit this place. When I got to Hue, I made other friends in a communal area at a hostel I was staying. We hired some bikes, we cycled across the city to this abandoned theme park, and that's how I got this shot. Whereas if I was in a hotel on my own somewhere, I very much doubt I would have even known about this place. So I generally try and go for hostels with really good communal areas where you can meet people, but I always book a separate room for myself whenever I can, because I travel with really expensive photography gear and I'd rather not be sharing my room with people that I don't know. Unless they have a really good locker system, then I don't mind. And during my travels, I just want somewhere to sleep and I don't want to spend too much time in the hotel, so hostels are a perfect fit. So when you travel overseas on your own, you are never alone, because you will always meet like-minded people that are in the same boat, willing to share their experiences with you. On my solo trips overseas, I've made many friends over the years and I'm still in contact with a lot of them till this day. Now, the other advice I want to give you is don't plan all of your trip from home. What I mean by that is you can write down a lot of the things that you want to do, but you might have a change of mind when you're actually there. Although it may be tempting, try not to book every single place that you aim to visit. What I generally do is I book my first location and have a rough guideline of what I want to do on my trip and go from there really, because you never know how your plans may evolve. If you book everything in one go, what you might find is that when you get to your destination, that there's other things that you could have done within that time scale, but it's too late to change now. Just before I continue, I just want to say, if you like straight to the point videos like this one, do go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. It would really help me out. Okay, now let's talk more about the photography gear that I take with me to capture these images. If I'm gonna visit an urban city like Tokyo, or I'm gonna visit New York for example, a lot of the things are quite congested with tall buildings. What I do is I take my 24 to 70mm f2.8 lens and I take my 15 to 30mm wide angle lens as well. If you've got the equipment and the room, try and take 2 camera bodies as opposed to 1, because if one was to fail, you always have the other one as backup. But whenever possible, I always aim to take my 70 to 200mm zoom lens. And the reason why I say whenever possible, because it's not exactly a light lens, it is a heavy lens, and I try and leave it behind whenever I can as well. I rarely ever take a tripod with me when I'm traveling abroad. I don't know, that's just me, but I always take one of these bad boys because it easily fits in my bag and it doesn't weigh much. The other thing I do is, no matter how much this weighs, I never ever put this equipment in my check-in bags. I always take it on board my carry-on bag. And with my MacBook Pro in the same bag as my camera equipment, it can get a bit heavy sometimes. So when I'm checking in, I always put the bag on one shoulder. It gives the appearance that I'm not carrying anything heavy, whereas if you wear a bag like this on 2 shoulders, then they are more likely to weigh it. Every time I carry this bag during checking on one shoulder, I've never had it weighed. Also, I take enough memory cards with me so I don't have to delete a photo, and that's one way of keeping the backups on your memory card. And I always take an external hard drive and back up the photos at the end of the day. The other things I generally do is I pack a spare bag with me, so when I'm at my destination, I transfer some of my camera gear that I'm going to use for the day into this temporary bag and carry that around with me all day, as opposed to a massive camera bag that actually looks like a camera bag. Also, if you're looking to do street photography in other countries, try not to go with 2 cameras blazing right from the get-go. Walk around the place without your camera, get a feel for the place just to make sure everything is safe and secure. And then what I like to do is I like to go back to the place that I'm staying at and take my camera equipment back out with me. With regards to a language barrier in other countries that don't speak your language, most of the time you can get away with pointing at stuff, but try and learn the basics like hello and thank you and goodbye, because it does go a very long way with the locals. For my landscape shots, what I generally do is I aim to capture my landscape photography early in the morning or late in the evening, and during the day what I do is I explore the city, I capture portraits of people. What I like to do is I like to show other people pictures from the back of my camera and ask them if I can take a picture of them by just pointing the camera at them and giving them a big smile. 99% of the time that works. And see if they're on social media so you can actually send them their picture. I'm sure they will appreciate that. Here's a picture of a photographer that I captured in Hanoi, Vietnam, and later added him on Facebook and sent him the picture. When I go around capturing photos of other people, I don't only look at this as fulfilling my agenda, I actually aim to help other people with this skill. And you'll be surprised how many people actually say yes. especially when you play the tourist card and you ask them nicely. So I'm going to leave it here for this video guys, but I'm pretty sure there's some things that I've left out. So do go ahead and drop me a comment below and let me know what they are, and I'll be sure to answer those questions for you. And if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.